Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at the moment only moving sideways, so we are in a correction. We expected the price to be in a correction. The price has been correcting, is correcting. Corrections can always go sideways as well. They don't only need to go down, right? Corrections can go in any direction, really. It depends on in which direction the main trend is going. And if the trend is going up, which it still is overall, then corrections are rather to the downside or sideways. Yeah, corrections can go sideways and correct over time, or correct actually over price. And at the moment, for a week or so, Bitcoin has now been consolidating, correcting just sideways, correcting pretty much this move to the upside. And we want to take a look at the smaller time frame in this video as well to understand what the relevant levels are that now need to hold to keep the overall uptrend alive. Okay, so on the daily chart we have two support areas which are relevant. The lower one is located between 67,045 and 77,918. It's the white wave count, white color, and it's based on the idea that we could have started a larger wave 4 correction. Such a large correction possible. I don't necessarily see it yet, but I cannot rule it out, but it is one of the reasonable scenarios, which means, in other words, only a break below 67K will mean that a major top is likely already in. So it could also mean that, we have already topped, that we're starting a very, very long correction. At the moment, it would take a break below 67K to really confirm that. The wave count is not yet full to the upside, so we are still watching for at least one more high, which means ideally one more higher low and then one more higher high. I prefer myself the blue scenario, which also allows for another correction in wave 4, but a rather shallow correction into the region between 78K to 85.7K. This correction could have started, but we know that wave 4 corrections often take a long time. Patience is required. Pullbacks can be rather shallow before it goes higher towards 130K, at least closer towards it. Now let's take a look at the shorter time frame. Here in this scenario, we can already track the idea that this wave 4 has started, possibly targeting the mid 80K region in an A, B, C structure. But it would take a break below the upper micro support to confirm that. Here we talk about 92,418 to 95,618 as micro support. The price can push higher. This would be the blue scenario, or even an extension in yellow. So there are pathways higher still. And the main reason for that is that the pullback was only in 3 waves. Okay, so it generally keeps the door open for higher. A 5-wave move down would have indicated more strongly that the local trend at least is down. We haven't got that. So we have 3 waves down, and then even something that looks a little bit like a 5-wave move up, which would be the blue count, and then here this correction which might be unfolding now. Either way, I did tell you that as long as we're holding 92,418, this could either be an extension in the B wave, in the yellow count, and then we go down, or we're actually dealing with a so-called 1-2 setup, which can send us to 110K if it plays out. I see this as not very likely, but it's one of the likely options, or I wouldn't show you. Okay, so it's just questionable. I find the probabilities fairly balanced, but then we can keep it quite simple, and we can see that, look, as long as we're above support, the focus can be on higher, which means we can keep it really simple and say that only a break below 92,418 locally here on the smaller time frame would suggest that the larger wave 4 has started. And as long as these pullbacks remain corrective and we're moving sideways, the focus could be on higher prices. And I see this as a possible 5-wave move up, but it's an ugly one. And then here a pullback, possibly still unfolding into the correction area, into the support area, then from there higher, or it is part of a B wave, which could still extend as some kind of a WXY structure. And this is an A, B, C. but then we shouldn't really go much higher than 101,760. But in both cases, we could still watch for higher prices as long as the $92,418 level is holding. Important is that the 99K level is going to be next resistance. Then I also wanted to show you something that I'm quite interested in, which is seasonalities, which just shows us how the months ahead could be going. Now it's important to understand that obviously it's just an average, right? It's the average performance Bitcoin USD over 14 years. I've actually selected 10 years now. 14 looks slightly different, but there are commonalities and things that repeat nearly every year. Like for example, February is typically a really good month, and also the months of October, November, December, generally in an average, are really good months. Now, looking at the 10-year cycle, which I find more reliable than 14 years, because the first few years, they are, you could say they were not that representative. But looking at the 10-year, let's say 10-year cycle, or like an average over 10 years, indicates that actually January is historically one of the, actually over 10 years, the weakest month. And it's just something to be aware of. It's not, it doesn't necessarily have to happen again. It could be a flat month, it could be only weak, or it could even lead to some downside. This is just something, the data is there, over 10 years, average. February is really good, typically. End of the year is typically really good. Throughout the year, we have a few dips. For example, August, September, they are typically not that strong. But the February month is typically really good, and yeah, January is rather weak. Okay, so this is just something I want to prepare everybody for, that January could be a bit of a boring month, or could even go downside. Obviously, when we pay attention to the Elliott Wave patterns, I just told you that we don't need that much more upside on the Bitcoin chart, and sometimes even that last high doesn't materialize. So we are in an overall topping region. December typically good, yeah. I mean, whether I pick here over 10 years, whether I pick over 14 years, or even the last 5 years, December has really been a good month. Maybe not as strong as October or November, again, an average, but historically also a rather positive month. So it's just something to be aware of. So I'm still watching for higher prices ideally over the coming months, but this is just an additional, just something to be aware of, I think. You can't say just because it happened before in the month of January that it will be like that again. It's just something to be aware of, just some data that I found interesting, wanted to share. February typically is then pretty interesting. So as we're navigating the Elliott Wave structures, obviously that is what we relate to primarily. But we can keep in mind that January might be, or Januaries tend to be months in which we see corrections unfold. That's the update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. If you're interested in the channel membership, today at 5 p.m. UTC, we have our membership live stream. Also here on our channel page, you can watch the trailer to understand what is included in the membership. We're also covering certain coins via member-only videos. So Rune was updated yesterday, WorldCoin, Algorand, and then Render a couple of days ago, Phantom, Say. So there are additional coins for members. Plus, if you join Discord as a gold member, you get additional updates for many more coins. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.